Hello, Star Wars fans! Today we're going to take a look at the timeline for Tales of the Underworld, and I am so sorry it has taken me this long to get this out. There's just been a lot going on. It has been crazy recently. But anyway, I want to give a huge thanks right up front to MC Lego Boy. Your help with the research was fantastic. Anything that's wrong in this video, that's my fault. Anything that's right, it's because of him. So, lots to discuss. There will be spoilers for the episodes, but as long as you're okay with that, then let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget, we have a May contest running all month long. Be subscribed or leave a comment, and you could win a book or a steelbook. Best of luck. And we have a membership option with lots of cool perks, so you might check it out in case you're interested. And make sure to hang around to the end of the video, and I'll talk about the Doomsday Countdown Watch on the Discord. Okay, so we're going to start with episode number 1 and go through each episode in order, placing them in the timeline. So I love the fact that episode 1 starts by retelling the tail end of the Dark Disciple novel. Basically, Quinlan Vos and Obi-Wan are taking Asajj Ventress to her final resting place. And they had promised that Asajj coming back again would not retcon Dark Disciple. And in fact, they were right. It perfectly fit with the Dark Disciple novel. No retcons there. And that's saying a lot because Tales of the Jedi technically did seem to retcon at least some of the timeline for the Ahsoka novel. So yeah, I love the fact that they made this perfectly fit with Dark Disciple. And the great news is we know exactly where Dark Disciple fits in the overall timeline. Of course, Season 6 of Clone Wars was canceled early, and then we finally got Season 7, but in between are 3 key things. There's the 4-part episode arc of the Crystal Crisis. You can find that online. It's not fully rendered because the episodes were never finished. Please finish those, Star Wars. I would love to see those officially finished. But anyway, we have those 4 episodes. We have Dark Disciple. And we have Darth Maul, son of Dathomir. All of those are taking place between Season 6 and 7, and therefore we know the exact timing because things like the Clone Wars Character Encyclopedia and, of course, the Timeline book tells us it's 19 BBY. Okay, so we are at 19 BBY at this point, and now the novel has ended, and we finally find out what happened to Ventress. We hear Mother Talzin saying, "You're dead. You may join your sisters in this realm, or you may return to the land of the living. However, if you return to the land of the living, it will be at the cost of your heart's desire," meaning she won't be able to reunite with Quinlan Vos. So, of course, she chooses to return to the land of the living, and now we can at least place the beginning of episode 1 in 19 BBY. But what about the rest of episodes 1 and then 2 and 3? They're all happening at the same time, so let's look and see when those are happening. So the big question is, are these episodes happening before or after her appearance in Bad Batch? Well, the fact that we see stormtroopers makes me think we're probably after Bad Batch, because we saw them, of course, being instituted during that series, Season 3, but there's even more proof that's even more clear. So Asajj seems to have given up her bounty hunting days, because here we see her working security. That cracks me up. And her boss is saying, "You got some skills. I'll give you that. Maybe we should be branching out, make some real money." And she's saying, "I don't want that life anymore. The peace and quiet appeals to me." So that sure makes you think she's given up bounty hunting. But if that wasn't clear enough, she even says to her little Jedi friend, "I'm not trying to kill any Jedi, not anymore." So yeah, it definitely seems like we're after Bad Batch. And then for the icing on the cake, we see that she is no longer wearing her shoulder armor that she wore in her Bad Batch appearance. So okay, we're definitely after Bad Batch Season 3, which was 18 BBY. Now the question is, how far after that are we? So one thing we can look at is they're referring to Star Destroyers as some kind of new starship. Now, they've actually been around since 22 BBY, but it makes sense not everybody would have seen them yet and probably is considering them new. But I think the closer we are to 18 BBY, the better, because that would fit with these lines. I also think the path seems relatively new, because the Jedi's saying, "Come on, you must know the path. Rumors are Quinlan Vos and the others established it." So the fact that he doesn't even know who established it, there's just rumors out there, that makes me think closer to 18 BBY the better. And by the way, the path was instituted in 19 BBY. So that means we're probably only a year after the path was created. And of course, we do see that the Inquisitors are on the hunt after the Jedi. So, okay, I think we can pretty safely say then 18 BBY for the majority of episode 1 and then for episode 2 and episode 3. Obviously, let me know if you disagree with that, but I think that fits really well. So this is Ventress's first appearance after her appearance in Bad Batch. All right, so now we move on to episodes 4 through 6, and these are a little trickier. So we start with the fact that Cad Bane is born in 62 BBY according to Scum and Villainy. I mean, I guess it could have been retcon, but I have not heard that officially, so I'm going to go with 62 BBY for his birthday. And that's important because now we can try to guess the characters' ages in each of the episodes. So in episode 4, Cad Bane, aka Colby and Nero, I'm going to go with age 11. Their voices are kind of high pitched. They want to eat their crunchies. Of course, I still eat sugar cereal too, but it just feels like maybe they're about age 11. And of course, at the end, Laszlo refers to Cad as kid. And he actually keeps referring to him as kid years later, but at this point, he really does seem to be a kid. So, okay, if he's born in 62 BBY, I'm going to go with somewhere in the 51 to 50 BBY age range. And on all of these, leave your comments if you don't agree, because we're really guessing at this point. Okay, so the next episode, Laszlo wants to keep Cad from getting involved, right? He says, mind the shop, and Colby/Cad says, well, I'm going to go with you. You know, this is my old neighborhood. And he's like, no, don't make it personal, kid. So he keeps calling him kid, but his voice is deeper. He's not still a kid. But he is telling him to stay out of this adventure, so maybe he thinks he's too young. Anyway, I think we get some better clues coming up because Erin is hinted at being pregnant in this episode. Notice she's touching her belly and she's trying to convince Cad not to go for revenge when ultimately Laszlo, of course, was killed in the episode. So she's saying, no, don't get involved. What she probably should have said is, I'm pregnant, but she doesn't say that. Okay, so I don't know morality in the Star Wars universe when it comes to when you should get somebody pregnant, but I'm just uncomfortable with him being anything under 18. So I'm going to say he's at least 18. Then you throw in the fact that Nero is actually old enough to be a deputy. Well, again, I don't know the ethics in the Star Wars universe. Maybe you can become a deputy at a really young age. I'm going to put him in his early 20s at this point. I just think that makes more sense for, Cad having a kid and for Nero being a deputy. Okay, then of course at the end of the episode, Cad is arrested because he does indeed get revenge for the marshal killing Laszlo, and now he is sent to jail. So I'm going to go with early 20s, so that would place it around 40 to 39 BBY. Okay, episode 6. So in that episode, we learn that Bane's locked up and he won't be out for another 5 years. Now, there's a couple different ways to take that statement. It could mean it's going to be 5 more years, but it could mean it's going to be another 5 years, meaning he's already been in for 5 years. I'm going to kind of go with that he's been in jail for 5 years because you're going to see that works really well with some other things. But then we learn that he's been released on a technicality. Now, that's important. He's been in prison for, several years, obviously, I'm guessing 5. The first thing he does is to seek revenge on Nero. So we're going to see that's really important in place in the timeline. Hold on to that thought. So then now we see that Nero is the marshal. They're saying, hey, marshal, maybe you should just lay low. And we meet Isaac, who turns out to be the son of Cad Bane and Erin. And notice he whimpers. I thought that's really interesting. I mean, you can whimper at any age. If I get scared, I may whimper. But that just makes me think this is a young kid, maybe 4, maybe 5. In fact, he says, is a bad man coming, Papa? Just sounds like something you would say at a very young age. So, okay, if Cad has been in jail for 5 years and Erin was pregnant when he went to jail, then this would make sense for Isaac to be around 4. I really like that. That fits really well. So, okay, that would place us around 36 to 35 BBY if he was in jail for 5 years or around 5 years. Now, I think it is very important that this episode happen no later than 35 BBY. Okay, why do I say that? Well, we know from canon that Jango Fett actually mentors Cad Bane, and we learn that from, of all places, the Star Wars helmet collection for Jango Fett. Now, I know on the right I'm showing Jango Fett versus Cad Bane, but I'm really just wanting to point out there was a period of time when Cad Bane was being mentored as a bounty hunter from Jango Fett. Well, clearly that had to happen after episode 6, right? He was in jail and then immediately went for revenge. This has to be after that. Likewise, we know that Cad Bane met Darth Maul in 33 BBY. That was in the Darth Maul comic. So, okay, there has to be some space for all these things to happen, and I didn't even list everything Cad Bane did during that period. There's several things he did. So I really think that episode 6 has to end no later than 35 BBY to give space for the time with Jango Fett and Darth Maul, etc. Now, I will say, Wikipedia does not agree with me on episode 6. I mean, episodes 4 and 5 were in the basic ballpark. I mean, they give a wider range than I did. I only gave a 1-year range there, but we're pretty much in the ballpark. But I am mystified by Wikipedia saying 33 to 27 BBY. I mean, there's no way, right? He doesn't go back to jail after meeting Darth Maul, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Wikipedia. I have great respect for it. I do not agree with 33 to 27 BBY. So really want your thoughts on this. Let me know. Tell me if you think I got it wrong. But I don't agree with that. All right, so as a reminder, here's my placements for Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire. Here's my placements for the overall TV shows and movies, and my placements for Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. Can't wait for that third game to come out. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts on the timelines, particularly Tales of the Underworld. You know I love to read and respond to everything. And don't forget, we have that contest. Be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook. And there's the membership option in case you're interested in that. And I always love to mention the Discord. Here we are in Star Wars General, and I'm being asked, hey, are you going to cover this stuff? I am so sorry it took me so long. Raps fan way back on May 5th was like, dude, what's up? Man, really sorry. Again, really sorry. And I promised I would mention the Doomsday Countdown watch parties. Every date listed here at 7 p.m. We'll be watching a different movie or show leading up to the December 18th, 2026 release of Avengers Doomsday. We have 2,200 members across the globe, conversations 24/7, and I'll leave a pinned comment so you can join. Also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we'll all eagerly await the next entry in the Star Wars universe.